So following England's good win against France in round 2, what team do I think Borthwick should select to take the Calcutta Cup back home to England against the Scots? Now, do you change the winning team? Well, I think there's some logic in that, but also there are improvements to be made in this England team. There's some fantastic progress, I think, in the last match, but also I think they can definitely get better. I actually brought out a video this morning talking about some of the options in the squad selections, but I've put it unlisted now because there's been so many squad changes today that actually it might just confuse. For example, for Ireland, Caelan Doris is now unavailable through injury, and England have issued another squad update, 36 players with a few changes as well. So welcome to this video supported by Sports News Blitz. Check them out for Six Nations content. Let's have a look at this 36-man squad. In the forwards, there is one change there to the normal names, and that is Alex Dombrandt. Some of these players were away playing Premiership Cup, and Dombrandt was one of those. Had a really good game, actually. They lost by a point, did Harlequins, but still a good game. And why is he in there? Well, is it to cover for Tom Curry? Well, maybe, but Tom Curry isn't listed as rehab now. He's back in the squad, so I'm guessing he's available, but still, I think that's maybe the reason why we've got an extra back row in there. A number 8 rather than a number 6 or 7. Maybe a little strange, but Dombrandt has been in the England squad. Borthwick likes him, so I guess he is the next cab off the rank sort of thing, covering for Curry. But I don't know, will he just suddenly appear in a match day 23? I think that would be a little bit weird. We see Alex Coles, who got game time as well. He's back. Previously, I think he had a little injury, so there's more cover in the second row. Asher Apoko for George, he's back in the squad as a tight head. Pollock stays in the squad, Henry Pollock, so maybe that points to him not featuring for the under-20s against Scotland, and he's actually training full-time with the seniors. And that kind of makes sense in a way because England do rotate quite a lot, the under-20s that is, when they play some of the weaker teams in the under-26 nation. And I don't think it's an insult to say that Scotland historically have been one of the weaker sides in the under-20s, and they may well rotate for that game, and I'm guessing that's going to happen because Pollock is absolutely one of their key players, and if they were playing their first-choice team, he may well be with them, but who knows, he may go back again. Bevan Rodd's in there, Will Stewart, Tom Willis, so the similar sorts of names are in that squad, but bulked out with Dombrandt and some returning guys, I guess, from the rehab list. In the backs, we've got a return of the normal names there. Dingwall's back in as a centre option, Spencer's back in as a 9 option, although he didn't play for Bath at the weekend. So a few changes there, lots to pick from, big training group. Now, as I've mentioned before, if you think you know what Borthwick's going to go with, then have a prediction with my starting lineup, the game I'm affiliated with. So if you register with the code RugAN1, it says I sent you. And it's actually not the easiest. It sounds easy, but it's not. In the last round, there was one winner, and he won straight out 2 tickets to the Lions captain's dinner at the Vale, 3-course meal, and stay overnight, etc. So if you get it right, you either win outright or you go into a draw with a few people that have guessed. So if you can guess what England are going to select, then do register with my starting lineup and try and win that amazing prize. That would be cool. I'm going to go through the team that I think should play, and I am making a few changes, and you could be thinking, saying, that's crazy, you're changing a winning side, but I think this side can get better. Yes, there were positives, but again, France, they dropped a few points, and I think we need to develop players as well, so there's a bit of that. Luke Cowan-Dickie played very well for a lot of the game around the pitch, but his line-out throwing was a real weakness and could have cost us badly. So I'm not saying he should be, never picked again, but I think it's worth looking at a slightly different combination. I think Theo Dan has loads to offer. I think he's a top talent and a very good line-out thrower, kind of the understudy of Jamie George, so maybe that's no surprise, I don't know. George, could he have started? Possibly, but he showed he can be really good off the bench. And I think something that England are learning, Borthwick's learning, and we're learning all together is that England need a bit of experience on the bench to come on, because just bringing on impact players, they can run around like headless chickens and not have that match-winning impact. And we saw that in 2024. So I think George staying on the bench could be a good call, that old head coming on. And as you're a bit older, maybe you're not going to last the game so well. So having a big 20 minutes could be a way forward for him, actually. I think that Ellis Genge and Will Stewart stay. A number of you guys saying that maybe Baxter should get a start, and I think at some point he should, but I don't make too many changes, but that's one you could make. On the replacements bench, though, at tight head, I am putting a Poco Fajura on there, not because Joe Hayes hasn't done well. I think he's done absolutely fine and solid, but I think we need to develop a Poco Fajura, and also he can bring on some match-winning qualities. I think he's a fantastic scrummager. I think he will hold his own in the scrum, maybe even do better than that, and he can impact the game in the loose that little bit better. I think we saw in one of my previous videos that Hayes can struggle to cover the ground a bit, and a Poco Fajura maybe can a bit more, but that's a tight call as well. I would make that one change in the second row, not least because Martin is maybe carrying a bit of a knock, hence he was on the rehab list, but also the line-out was a big struggle, and when Chesham and George came on, it was fantastic. So let's give Theo Dan, Ollie Chesham as a top-quality target and bring George Martin off the bench. 6, 7, 8, well, if Tom Curry is fully fit and that rehab was for something else apart from his hip, then absolutely he plays again because he's been absolutely fantastic. But if it's better to rest him and get him fresh for the final 2 rounds, then do that. And Ted Hill is your absolute kind of like-for-like replacement. They get around the pitch amazingly. Hill's probably slightly better in the line-out, maybe not quite as powerful, but still a big ball carrier, big tackler, and love to see him get a role. So Curry or Hill. Earl stays at 7. He was great. I think you stick with Willis. I like the balance he gives. Dombrandt, would he come into this team? I just don't know, because he's a kind of wider out player, and I think we've got plenty of those anyway. Then the halfbacks the same. Mitchell and Finn Smith, keep giving them time, and I would put Spencer on the bench because it looks like Mitchell's going to be used as long as possible because he's like the best player we've got, I guess. And if there needs to be a replacement, then Spencer, I think, is closest to him. I think I'd trust him a bit more with the basic skills and organising the team than Randall. But again, changes, should you make changes, I think that one's worth doing. The centres, you could change it up. It would be worth seeing Freeman at 13 at some point. Maybe Lawrence 12, Freeman 13 from the start. But again, I'm wary of making too many disruptions. I think there's improvement to be made in the centres, but keeping it Slade Lawrence for now. Freeman coming on, Daly coming onto the back 3. Could have Roebuck in that mix as well. That would be pretty interesting. Marcus Smith, keep him going, keep him learning. I think there's plenty of improvement to be made. But if he can get the balance right and not do too many things solo and really create for others as well, I think he's a massive weapon to have. Daly can cover 15. He could cover 13 if needed. So I think you can have a 6-2 bench there because Freeman can cover quite a lot as well. Then having George Martin, Cunningham, South or Hill rolling on, Ben Curry rolling on. That gives you loads and loads of energy. Like I said, the experience of George there to help out, the experience of Spencer if you need it, and the experience of Daly. So yeah, a few changes, a few shuffles. I think we saw positive signs against France, but I think England can actually play even better, and they're going to want to show it against Scotland, their nemesis team, if you like, to get that Calcutta Cup back. So what team would you play? If you think you can predict the team that's going to play, then play my starting lineup with that free selection anyway. You get a free play, so you might as well register code RugAN1. That would be awesome. Do like, do subscribe, comment below, and I'll catch you next time.